A life filled with purpose inspires great things. It transforms, transcends, and makes a powerful impact on those around us. Driven by passion, purpose, and possibilities, Monique Mahima Gerzong's journey with cancer propelled a movement for change. Her determination allowed many of us to join in support of those suffering from cancer, a disease that has robbed so many of the family and friends they love. Breast cancer is one of the leading causes of deaths among Jamaican women today. Diagnosed with breast cancer in 2003, Monique Mahima Gerzong, strong-willed, compassionate, and outspoken, filled with so much promise, was placed on a journey that was to be her greatest challenge.
There are variables outside of your hands. And it is basically just a mantra that kind of releases it. So it doesn't say that, boy, no, bad things are not going to happen, but it reminds you that if they do happen, then this also is God. And I think that has been fundamental in bringing me to where I am as well. You know, that all things are God, and because so many circumstances happen, and although they prove to be they seem to be disastrous at the beginning, they carried with them a lot of blessings as well, you know. So I think it's always critical to remember while you're going through it that this is going to be a blessing. You know, it's always in retrospect that you kind of say, you know, boy, you know, that wasn't such a bad thing after all and everything. And then by that time you've wasted the experience, you know, because you've chastised it as being negative and everything, and you've prevented yourself from actually feeling or experiencing the entire thing because you've labeled it as negative. And that mantra has helped me to just kind of release, to, you know, remind myself that this is God. Everything that these hands do is, you know, God instrumentation. I'm an instrument of God.
She was a bold young woman, and like so many, decided not to be a victim, but choose to become a victor.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in March of 2003. March 2003. I felt a lump in my breast, and having gone through surgery when I was about 13, just after I turned 13, I was told even back then that there was a good possibility that later on in life, or I was predisposed to cancer, to breast cancer, and that I was to have regular annual checks. And I hadn't had any mammograms or anything like that, although I did regular breast self-exams, and on one of these exams I found a lump that felt different than any of the other kind of normal lumps that I'd felt before. In addition to the lump, though, it was found that there were what they call clusters of calcifications all throughout the breast, which meant that it would have been more than just surgery to remove the lump itself. It was, and the clusters of calcifications were indicative of like a precancerous stage as well. So what was recommended was a mastectomy, a complete mastectomy. At the time I was 29, and that wasn't really the kind of, it wasn't something that you know, you wanted, right, that you want to even consider. And so I kind of found myself in a difficult position. I didn't know, I didn't want to get rid of my breast at the time. You know, I mean, I was always very conscious of the fact that when people deal with cancer, like 5-10 years down the road, when they think that it's gone, it recurs, and I was intent on getting to the root of it. It was a day or two later that I went and told my parents about it. Yeah. Well, obviously, they didn't really see it coming. I think they were in shock, and I think it just basically floored them, and they didn't know really how to respond, and they had a loss of sense of control. I mean, they like me, knew that the possibility existed for it to come up later in life, but obviously you're hoping that it never does.
When Monique developed breast cancer, it was like a shock for me. I mean, we never had cancer in the family, and it was, when she discovered a lump and had it checked, I never thought for a minute that it would have been positive for cancer. Never thought for a minute. So when she told me, it was like, it actually took a couple of weeks before it actually sank in that this is what she really had.
So all of these you know, because you know, one couldn't comprehend. You hear everyone you know, that has it sometime, someplace, but never close to home. And it really hit home, and I remember and I cried for weeks. It is still something I don't really like to talk about, but if it will help someone else, then this is the only reason I'm doing it right now. We supported her as much as humanly possible.
And they were very supportive. My mother was extremely active where that was concerned. She supported my decision to change my eating habits and things. And she was actually, I was trying to eat organic wherever I could because of the link between the like the pesticides and chemicals that are used in food and with the estrogenic effect. They say it mimics the effect of estrogen on hormone-related cancers, and mine was hormone-related.
Her mother, who walked with her throughout the journey to the end, witnessed Monique's determination.
Monique handled her illness with a lot of grace, courage, and strength. Monique didn't once ask, why me? She just accepted her diagnosis, and she just decided, okay, I need to deal with this, and she went head on. She did her research and found out the things that contributed to the growth of it, and she just did what she felt she had to do. When Monique realized that she didn't have a lot of time left, she started to call family members that she hadn't seen for a while. Family members that she had spoken to but had not met. And she wanted to see all of these people before, because I used to pull my strength from Monique. I didn't tell her that, but I did. And it was easy because she was never, ever down in the dumps. She had her daily consultation with God, and she prayed for guidance in what she was to do next as far as her treatment went, and she just followed what she thought he was telling her. Treating cancer was extremely, and I would assume it still is extremely, extremely expensive. Monique had surgery, 2 surgeries, one a mastectomy and one to stabilize her spine, because that collapsed after it had gone into her bone. And it was extremely expensive. I had a lot of support from family members, from friends, especially her friends from Roots Underground, who decided to put on a benefit performance for her to help with her medical expenses. It was a very successful concert, and she asked that the concerts continue and the proceeds go towards the upliftment of the Hope Institute. I'm still very thankful for all the artists over the years who have contributed of their time and talent to have made these concerts possible.
Many women, and men too, are faced every day with this invasive disease, cancer. Life can become quite difficult, but the Hope Institute Hospital is a beacon of hope for many. Located at the foothill of Dallas Mountains on the outskirts of Kingston, the Hope Institute Hospital is the only hospital in the English-speaking Caribbean offering specialist oncology and palliative care services for cancer patients. It was here that one of Mahima's trusted doctors, Dr. Dingle Spence, administered many of Mahima's chemotherapy treatments.
Well, I had the privilege of meeting Monique Gazon in the summer of 2009, when unfortunately she'd just been diagnosed with spread of the cancer from her breast into the bones in her back, and she was in severe pain. I actually first met Monique in my private clinic, and she'd had a long day. I remember it very, very well. And she came and sat beside me, and actually we bonded instantly, and I recognized that she was in a lot of pain at the time. So we pretty much just talked about how we were going to get on top of that pain for her. And I had quite a high couch in the office, and I looked at Monique, who's very little bit, and I looked at my couch and I realized there was no way Monique was going to get on the couch that day. So I didn't formally examine her, but we had a chat. We got to know each other in a very short time, and I prescribed some pain medication for Monique. Monique then went on to do surgery to fix a problem in her back, and she then, which is common, we then also offer radiation therapy to help with the pain. So Monique then went on to radiation therapy, and then she really became part of our family. We decided that she could do well with some further chemotherapy treatment, and so we introduced Monique to being a regular client, as it were, at the Hope Institute. And what that meant was that she would come every 3 weeks for her chemotherapy, for adjustment to her pain medicine. And really we followed Monique through the journey. So all the things that we are able to offer at Hope, which is radiation therapy, unfortunately we can't do it at Hope right now. We have to either do it at the Kingston Public Hospital or in the private sector. We do chemotherapy at the Hope Institute, and we offer what we call palliative care, which is managing symptoms of cancer. So let me just tell you a little bit now about Hope Institute. So as you already heard, Hope has been around. In fact, this is our 50th anniversary this year, so it's lovely to be able to speak about the hospital. Hope is a cancer hospital. There's a lot of misinformation about Hope, but basically we're a cancer hospital. We look after people from start to finish. So if you're diagnosed with cancer last week and you need chemotherapy or radiation therapy, you can come to Hope. We will see you, we will decide what you need. As I said, if it's radiation, we have to do it off-site, but many people come and stay with us for the duration. We have a chemotherapy clinic that runs twice a week. And so we do that, and then we also offer palliative care symptom control, which is managing the difficult problems that people with advanced cancer may have, like pain, shortness of breath, tiredness, vomiting, all sorts of difficult things. So Hope is a small hospital, and that's very nice because it feels quite intimate. So we have 40 beds, and what we are aiming to do in your care is to look after the whole person. So recognizing that you have an emotional life, a spiritual life, you have friends and family who may also be suffering. And one of the basic tenets of palliative care is to look after the whole person and to help bring in the circle of friends and family that are around that person. And that's very satisfying work because we know, and Monique exemplified that. We were able to follow Monique through her entire journey. And it was indeed a blessing. And we continue to be blessed, in fact, because out of Monique's wishes has developed a foundation called the Mahima Foundation. And the Mahima Foundation holds annual fundraising events and the sorts of things that they have helped us with. One of the really wonderful things was to refurbish our kitchen, and we now have a beautiful kitchen with stainless steel counters, proper quarry tile floors, proper ventilation and screening from insects and so on, which we really didn't have before. They've also for 2 years in a row now come out on Labor Day and helped us establish a vegetable garden, which has been wonderful, and it's brought in other younger volunteers so that people can understand about the joy of being a volunteer. And this year on Labor Day they also upgraded our patios, so we now have 2 outside patios with furniture that our patients can come out of the bed, sit outside, take their lunch outside, entertain their visitors outside, and it's really transformed the feeling of the hospital more to, yes, we're a hospital, but it really feels quite comfortable and like home.
And I remember I was in a class and I heard this guy, he was telling somebody was just like, you know what, as much as I can use my mind to affect my reality in my body, I'm still taking my pill. And the guy who's a minister, he says, of course you should, because the pill is God, everything is God. And it hit me. I was just like, well, you're right. I mean, this is entirely God's creation. Everything is God. And so when I went in and did that CAT scan and everything, I, instead of thinking about this dye that I had infused through my veins and thing that was probably polluting my very essence, I thought, all right, well, this too is God. And And it made me have a much better appreciation or acceptance for everything. So, and it was also a surrender, you know, because if everything is God, then there's nothing really to fear, is there?